This is HeKnowsFitness, bringing you that heat and that fire. All right, y'all. Before we get on to the video, man, make sure y'all hit that link in the description for HeKnowsFitness. Make sure y'all hit that link in the video for HeKnowsFitness. I'm bringing you guys quick, fast, and effective workouts that's going to yield lasting results. Let me say it again. Quick, fast, and effective workouts that's going to yield lasting results. Make sure you subscribe to that channel. Comment, like, and share. Show your support, because this is social distancing, global distancing. In this global pandemic time, it's important to keep your immune systems high, functioning efficiently and appropriately, and for you guys to sit here and get your sweat on and work your heart rate up. Now on to the damn video. Floyd Mayweather. I think Floyd Mayweather will make an excellent trainer, if you ask me. I think Floyd Mayweather will be what he's going to be, which is a high variation of a trainer that will bring his unique skill sets and pass it on to the next generation. Floyd Mayweather could easily be the greatest trainer in boxing. Let me say it again. Floyd Mayweather could easily be the greatest trainer in boxing. See, boxing is different than basketball in this sense. In basketball, you can be the greatest player, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean that because you're the greatest player, it can translate, right? Or it can pass on to you being the greatest coach. And the reason for that is because the greatest players in basketball, I don't know what it is about it, the reason why it doesn't translate is because you have to understand this. People don't have what the mindset of these greatest players in basketball have, right? They don't have that mindset to dominate in that aspect. These types of people don't come a dime a dozen. They come once every generation, right? Boxing is different in a sense. And let me explain why. Boxing has more fighters that can come out and be special type of fighters. What do I mean when I say that? Boxing is an individualized sport, whereas basketball is a community team sport. See, in basketball, it being a community team sport and boxing being an individualized sport, in boxing, you can't hide behind your teammates, right? You can't have a bad game in boxing, because if you do, right, you step into the ring and you have a bad night, it's going to show. In basketball, you can do that because you can have a number 2 option. Shoot, you can have a number 3 option. You can have a sum of all parts option that can show up, show out, and deliver the goods for you, right? And hence hide or masquerade the fact that you underperformed. Even though it's evident that you underperformed, it's hidden, it's masked, because your team won. They were able to still get the job done. They were still able to fulfill and accomplish the objective. Well, that's not the case when you think about it from a boxing standpoint. You have to be ready at all times. You have to put in the work. You have to live a fighter's life. You have to dedicate yourself to your craft. You have to show hard work and dedication. Let me say it again. Hard work and dedication. Let me say it again. Hard work and dedication for the number 3 of confirmation. You have to put all of that in there. And we've seen in boxing where we've seen multiple special fighters. There was an era when Roy Jones was doing his thing. Floyd Mayweather was doing his thing. Oscar De La Hoya was doing his thing. Bernard Hopkins was doing. All of these guys are special. You see what I'm saying? So boxing can have multiple special people fighting, even though they could be in different weight classes. They're there because it's an individualized sport, and it requires a certain level of dedication and discipline because of the individuality of the sport that you won't get in a team-based sport like basketball. So because it's individualized, more is required from that individual to make sure that they're maintaining a form of excellence and standard in their fight form, in the way that they present themselves, in the way that they carry themselves in the ring, the way that they fight, the way that they prepare, the way that they train, the way that they get ready and unction themselves to step into the square circle or the sweet science, right? So I say all of that to say this. Floyd Mayweather's ability to adapt, his ability to figure out opponents, his ability to think on the fly, his ability to be a defensive wizard of epic proportions and epic magnitudes, his ability to say, you know what, even though I got all of the money in the world, I'm going to hold true to the Marvin Hagler term. I'm not going to be sitting here sleeping in silk sheets, but I can't get up at 4 or 5 a.m. and working out. Mayweather was that guy that actually defied Marvin Hagler's term. And let me explain when I say that. Marvin Hagler said, you can't be sleeping in silk sheets and positioning yourself and getting yourself up to train at 4 to 5 a.m. in the morning. Well, Mayweather defied that. He's the only one to defy that. Mayweather was actually sleeping in silk sheets, but he was still getting up at 4 to 5 a.m. because Mayweather, the thing that separated him from the pack is his ability to say, you know what? I'm always going to defy conventional wisdom. That's an excellent pedigree for training. Why is that? Because you're ingraining and you're ingraining and you're ingratiating this into fighters. You're telling them to defy conventional wisdom. How does that translate into the ring? How does that make your ring generalship? How does that make your ability to adjust? How does that make you an astute fighter? Well, it does in this sense. If you're not fighting off of conventional wisdom, the opponent can't figure out what you're doing. Woo. What I said was so deep and profound. Let me rewind that because that needs to marinate in the corpus callosum and in the cerebellum. Hear me and hear me. Well, when you are fighting, right, and you're fighting in a way to where you're not basically limiting yourself in a box of conventional wisdom, your opponent can't figure out what you're doing in the ring because you're not doing things conventionally. You're actually doing things in contrary to the conventional way of doing things. So as you're doing this, this separates you from the pack. Now your opponent can't figure you out, and it gives you all of the room for you to make the necessary adjustments to figure your opponent out. This is how Mayweather basically approached himself in the boxing ring. This is how he approached himself in the square circle. And he can impart this type of stuff into fighters that are dedicating themselves to their craft. Now, it can't just be any old body. Now, you got to dedicate yourself to your craft. You got to live a fighter's dream. You got to be wanting this shit. You got to be hungry. And you got to showcase that you have a special ability to where you can possess these traits that Mayweather had, and you can basically operate and showcase them under the bright lights. Because that's another thing too. Mayweather wasn't just doing this like when nobody was watching. He wasn't just doing this when there was just 2 or 3 people. Of course, he was doing it at that time early on in his career. But Mayweather proved in over 27 fights, championship fights, that in the bright lights, he can excel like nobody's business. And that's another pedigree that he can impart into that special person that will become that next pedigree of a Mayweather-like or Mayweather-esque type of fighter. So I see Mayweather as a trainer as a great thing for boxing, because now we get to get that special hybrid skill set passed down to somebody else. This is what Michael Jordan was able to do for Kobe Bryant in basketball. So why can't something like this happen in boxing? Mayweather has always been training fighters. He just hasn't been giving them full-time training. But he's always been imparting knowledge because he wants to see the sport grow. Yes, he has his form of narcissism. He has his form of ego. And he has his form of self-preservation as the law of the land to an extreme bit. I can admit that. But I don't see a person who does not care for the livelihood of the sport. Because before Mayweather became this Money Mayweather, persona or whatnot, you saw a guy that genuinely loved the sport of boxing. He could tell you everything about the history of the sport. He studied and he was an astute student of the game. He still is to a certain degree. And I believe that him actually doing these things, hopefully it's not a show. Hopefully it's something that he could do full time. Because let me tell you something. If Mayweather dedicates himself full time to this, which it remains to be seen because he has so much things going on, I believe that he can be the greatest trainer ever. Because he already proved it. That when he dedicates himself full time to boxing, he's the greatest boxer. So in him proving that, he can also showcase that as in training. He's already proven himself as TBE. when it comes to the sweet science. That can translate over into training, because he now can bring a lot of these secrets and these tools that he learned from his father, that he learned from his Uncle Roger, that he can carry on from an offensive standpoint. The things that he learned from Jeff Mayweather, and then his own boxing mind, because people undermine that and they don't understand. Mayweather had his own boxing mind. Floyd Mayweather Jr. has his own boxing mind. That's a quartlet. Let me say it again. A quartlet of knowledge that whomever he's training is getting. So basically, you're getting 4 trainers in one. Y'all didn't catch that, man. You're getting 4 trainers in one if Floyd Mayweather Jr. decides. Now, here's the underlying question. Did Floyd Mayweather do this because it was a show? I don't know. It remains to be seen. But with the obligations he has going on, with everything that he's doing right now, I don't know if he's going to dedicate himself full time to being a boxing trainer. I'm going to have to be honest with that, because Mayweather loves the spotlight too much as a fighter. He wants to be in front of the scenes. I don't know if he's ready to be behind the scenes. See, I can admit these things. HeKnowsFitness loves to keep that same energy, dog. Let me say it again. HeKnowsFitness loves to keep that same energy. So in this current climate, I can't sit here and tell you that Floyd Mayweather will dedicate himself fully to being a trainer. But if he does, right? And he says, you know what? Hard work, dedication, the same hard work and dedication that he put into boxing, if he puts that into training, I believe he becomes the greatest trainer of all time. That's bar none. That's HeKnowsFitness way of putting it. That's HeKnowsFitness way of seeing it. It is what it is. I keeps the foot on the what? On the next. I keeps the foot on the what? On the next. This is HeKnowsFitness. Checking out.